Des, I believe Landlord Defence acted for some property developers who had converted a residential house into an all-en-suite HMO for 6 people. And you got involved with the licensing of that and managed to increase the licence up to 9 people?
Yeah.
Tell us a bit of the story about that.
Great. So the clients were referred to me by a multi-billionaire property investor. He was in a joint venture with these guys. And they bought a 3-bedroom house with a bit of an extension to it. And they called me in on the day of completion. And I looked at the property to see what was possible in the design. They brought in a designer and managed to work out how they could get 6 bedrooms, all en suite, and put a nice shared kitchen and laundry facility in there, working with the designer. And I made sure that they were doing everything to the legal specifications, sizes, room sizes, etc., and making the best possible use of the space. So as you can imagine, some things were reconfigured, and some bathrooms in houses are quite small, and of course that was now going to become a kitchen, etc. Part of what we needed to do and to save cost and things was to advise them that it probably would be best to take out the gas installations and make it all electric installations.
That's interesting. Why did you advise that?
Because of the rerouting of gas and getting it all certified and all of that, there were a lot of costs. And going forward, gas and electricity costs are becoming similar today for heating, and the heating systems that were put in would be all thermostatically controlled in each room, and they couldn't end up running up massive bills unexpectedly. So and following through, they did lots of other things which make houses more modern today. But that's not what we do. That was some advisory we gave them from our experience from working with lots of clients who decide to take gas out because it's another certification that you need. But yes, everything was done to the highest of standard. And when they got it all done and checked, we went through and we did the license application. And originally they wanted to just do it for 6 occupants. But we talked with the licensing officer from the council when he came round, looked at it, and through some negotiations were able to get the occupancy up to 9. As a result of getting the occupancy up to 9, this gave more value to the property because it now had a license for 9.
Did that not put you in contravention of planning though?
So we put in a pre-app, or a pre-application, for those of you who don't know, for planning with the local council, which was to be approved. And in the process of doing that, the property was sold. And in the interim, we did advise on some short-term occupation to cover their costs while they were waiting to sell it. The property was sold, and I don't know, I didn't continue with that. I believe the purchasing solicitors took over what was going on with the planning application. I didn't get involved from that stage. But another successful situation with licensing, advising on it, making sure it's compliant, and maximising the licensing opportunity and the planning opportunity for the developers who were, I'll be quite frank, working on their first project with an HMO and really did need the guidance.
Now, I guess actually that there's quite a lot of developers that wouldn't know the intricacies of the licensing law and the requirements for that. So being able to turn to somebody like Landlord's Defence for that sort of advice is probably very valuable to developers.
Yes, and if they hadn't come to us, although they had a joint venture partner who was really experienced in his projects, on this project they were doing all the work and responsible for the operation, hence why they were advised to come to me and to our firm and to work through this. The interesting part was they had an idea once it was done and they needed to sell. They wanted to just stick this on a site for short-term rentals. They had no idea of the planning requirements in certain areas for short-term rentals and how long you could do it for. So we had to advise on that strategy as well. And also, very, very interestingly, when it was being sold, there were a couple of things. I found that the lawyer, who was a conveyancing specialist, was very, very pleased we'd educate him on some HMO regulation changes.
Again, most conveyancing lawyers know nothing about HMO, do they?
Well, they know their bits they need to know to convey.
But only to convey, mostly, yeah. I guess. Yeah.
And to convey is to pass. Pass it from one owner to the other. What the purchasing solicitors don't often understand is what can and can't go with it. What I find a lot of people purchasing HMOs do is they think because it's currently licensed that license will be theirs. No, it won't. Thank you very much.
Thanks.